All right. Hello, friends, and welcome back to another exciting episode of Dreambound. This is the episode where we finally get to talk to Mr. Floyd, and I'm so excited for this, as I said in the past couple of episodes. I'm just really excited for Mr. Floyd and Noah to have this discussion. I'm excited for this moment to finally be put to rest and for everything that happened to be truly out on the table, I guess. I'm really looking forward to this episode, and I hope that you are as well. So I'm just going to let you guys hop into it and see that. The three headed inside and sat in the living room of Noah's parents' house. It felt so empty and quiet, even with the three of them present. You've both grown up so much. Time does that to you, sometimes. Right, that's to be expected, I suppose, but sorry, I'm not very good at this. It's good to see you too, Kaine. Are you still cooking? Not as much as I'd like to. Kaine's voice was strained, which Noah found confusing. He sounded so much colder than usual, not like himself at all. But it wasn't the time or place to consider it, so Noah turned back to the conversation at hand. What about you, Noah? Have you been painting? I try. It's a struggle sometimes, but I'm getting through it. That's great. You were always so talented. Mr. Floyd. Please, I'm not your teacher anymore. You can call me Emery. Emery, then. Neither of us are here to make small talk, are we? Putting aside everything else, Noah, I'm just happy to see you alive and well. I have so many regrets in my life. You're one of my biggest ones. I dreamt about you the other night. Okay, weirdo. Both of you. I've never stopped wondering how you were doing, Noah, but that just kicked me into gear, I guess. I know you probably don't want an apology at this point in time, but at the very least, let me explain what happened. An explanation. Go ahead. Are your parents home today? They're both dead. What? Have you been living under a rock? Assuming you haven't, how did you not know? I'm living a few towns over. I don't really hear much from out this way anymore. They got caught up in those murders, the ones with the markings. Oh God, Noah. I didn't realize. I appreciate the sympathy, but I'm not exactly torn up about it. His old teacher took a deep breath. He mostly looked the same as he did the last time Noah saw him, the same kind eyes and wide shoulders. He had the look of someone you could trust. That was the problem, really. Well, at least that'll make things easier to explain if we're not interrupted. It was a huge misunderstanding, Noah. Both of us were used and turned against each other. What? You were paid by my mother to pretend to be close to me just so you could pass on everything I said to her. What part of my misunderstanding? Huh? You never told me that, Noah. I was struggling back then. I wasn't ready to talk about this to anyone. Sorry. Is it okay if I mention the details in front of... It's fine. There's no point in hiding anything anymore. Alright. Your mother never paid me to get close to you. I mean, she paid me to tutor you, I suppose, but there was never any exchange of information. I never told her a word of what you said to me. When you told me about how you felt about August, I never intended to tell anyone. How could I? You trusted me enough to tell me, and I wasn't about to make your life difficult by telling anyone before you were ready. And with parents like yours, I thought it was unsafe for them to find out too. Why should you be in trouble for something as simple as a crush? That's what all the fuss was about in high school? I told Emery about my feelings for August, and the next thing I knew, my mom moved me out of our class. If you didn't tell her, then who did? I wish I could tell you, Noah. When I left you that night after our very last tutoring session, she pulled me to the side and slapped me across the face. Damn, okay. then fired me, but the slap is a little more memorable. What? I don't know if someone else told her, or if she sat out your bedroom door eavesdropping every time we were together, or what. But I never would have betrayed your trust, Noah. Never in a million years. I was a lot like you in high school, confused about myself. I had someone I could talk to back then, and I thought with you I could pay forward the favor, I suppose. I didn't mind being there to listen, since you obviously couldn't talk to your parents. She threatened to report me to the school board if I spoke to you again. That's why I had to keep my distance after that. But that's where the explanation ends. Now I have to apologize, whether it means anything to you or not. I cared more about my career than the safety of my student. You needed my support, and I was a coward. I'm sorry, Noah. I can't ever be sorry enough. You should have told me back then. I would have understood. I'm sorry. Mr. Floyd lowered his eyes. The room was silent. I always blamed you for so much in my life going wrong. Who am I supposed to blame now? Your mother. The question was for no one in particular. In fact, it was only a few moments later when he realized he'd spoken it aloud. Myself, I suppose. I left you alone with no one to support you. I wasn't strong enough. You can blame me all you want. I don't want to do that anymore. Thank you for telling me the truth. It changes a lot. No, thank you for listening to me. I was terrified coming here. I wasn't sure what I could say to you. How could I even look you in the eye? Mr. Floyd shrugged, sadly. He looked like a broken man. The events of years ago still plagued him deeply. I'm sorry about August, Noah. It was a terrible thing that happened to him. Part of Noah still wanted to snap at him, to tell him not to talk about August, not to say that he was dead. Admitting that was finally giving up. But Noah held it back. August was gone. There was no point in denying it any longer. At those words, however, Kaine suddenly stood up. I'll leave you two to it. Excuse me. Kaine? Sorry, Noah. He left the room, taking the staircase up to the second floor. Noah looked back towards his ex-teacher, putting Kaine out of his mind for the moment. Can I ask you some totally unrelated questions? Mr. Floyd shifted his posture slightly, surprised. If there's anything I can help with, you know I'm always happy to assist. Have you ever had any really terrible nightmares? Reoccurring ones, maybe? That's completely unrelated. Wow. He almost laughed. I suppose this is important, huh? Noah nodded, but kept quiet as his teacher thought about it. Not long ago, actually, I kept having the same dream about a man made of shadows who could descend upon me as if judging me for my sins. He never said a word to me, but I could feel this overwhelming hate. I knew he wanted me dead more than anything. It felt so real, and it was happening for nights on end, and then it just stopped. Definitely confirms it, then. Does it take a few visits to kill someone, or is there some other reason he's forced to stop? Wait, it was definitely a guy? You know, now that you ask, I'm not so certain. That's what I thought for some reason, though. Can I ask why, you ask? Is there something bothering you? I think it's related to the murders. I want to be truthful with him. I like him. I've always liked him. I just heard some of the other people who have died were also having nightmares beforehand. You think a bad dream could lead to death? Noah shrugged. It sounds crazy, but, well, anything's possible. If that were the case, I'm glad nothing happened to me. If I died before being able to talk to you about what happened, I doubt I could have moved on. Noah's eyes traveled to the window, where the clouds had parted and stray moonlight trickled in. The night was cool and crisp. The night was cool and crisp, yet Noah felt an innate warmth, too. Mr. Floyd stood. It's a bit of a drive back, so I should get going. Can we meet up again sometime? Mr. Floyd froze, as if that was the last thing he expected to hear from Noah. He then smiled. Of course. I can't apologize once and expect it to make everything okay, can I? So, whenever you want to meet me again, let me know. Noah stood as well. Thanks for coming over on such short notice, Mr. Emery. I really do appreciate it. It was the least I could do, really. Could I ask you for something in return? What's that? Keep making art. Keep pursuing your passions. And most of all, take care of yourself. I guess I'll do my best. And that was that. Noah watched as Mr. Floyd left, closing the front door quietly behind himself. All was silent. Can't believe I blamed him for all these years. I should find Kaine. Noah turned just in time to see that Kaine had already rejoined him in the living room. Ah, there you are. Why'd you run off like that? Kaine shrugged. I guess being back here is affecting me a little more than I was expecting. I'm fine. Sorry, I shouldn't have ran off like that. It's fine. I was just, worried about you. The last thing I want is to make you worry. Kaine took a deep breath, like he was gathering himself. You know that manga we used to read together, okay? Noah blinked, surprised. That's a little out of left field. Vaguely? There was that superhero who would judge villains for their crimes. Oh, okay. It's a little embarrassing, but I think I always looked up to him. No, I could tell. I tend to label people as bad or good in my mind, and Mr. Floyd was firmly in the bad category. I just feel ashamed now for judging him so easily for something I never even knew about. You don't need to judge people on my behalf. People change. You've changed a lot recently, Noah. I swear it was just yesterday I was trying to get you to understand that yourself. Now look at me. I know I'm acting weird. Sorry. I think I'm just tired. There's been so much going on lately. Noah slowly nodded. Trust me, I understand. A sudden wave of fatigue crashed over Noah. There really had been so much going on. Walking around town, calling all those people, meeting Ruben and Mr. Floyd. It was a level of activity he wasn't used to. Not anymore. This'll be my punishment for being a hermit for so long. I'm not used to all of that exercise and talking. Do you feel like you have any leads? I think so. I have a few ideas. I don't know if they're leads exactly. Well, tomorrow is another day. I'm sure we'll find something if we keep looking. We have to. I didn't come all the way back here to give up so easily. I really wish we would give up. Kaine? You know how much I worry about you. I just don't want you stumbling into something you'd be better off not knowing about. I'll be fine. Noah smiled, self-deprecatingly. And if I'm not, it's not like I was doing much with my life before all of this. You're the one who had to take a whole week off of work for this wild goose chase. You should be the one who doesn't want to give up. Wouldn't that be a waste? What waste? Kaine smiled. We might not have found many hints about the killer, but that doesn't mean I consider the day to be worthless. No? No. I still got to spend it with you, after all. I might not want us to be here doing all of this, but I'm happy I'm the one by your side anyway. That makes it worthwhile, if nothing else. I really don't know what you see in me, Kaine. Kaine was quiet for just a few moments before a gentle whisper escaped his lips. Probably more than you'll ever realize. Why? You're just you. And I like you plenty, faults and all. Right. You know, sometimes I wonder if you have a thing for being mistreated. So what if I do? Kaine chuckled. Not to shame you or anything, but I would tell you to get better taste in people then. Kaine shrugged. Asking the impossible. I don't think I could ever abandon you. And I don't think I'll ever understand you. Still, thanks. That's what best friends are for. How about I whip us up some dinner? I'm starving. And considering you push your food around the plate more than you eat, you must be hungry too. Feel bad when you wait on me so much. Why? I like cooking, and you, hopefully, like eating what I cook. I call that a win-win. You really would make a good husband. Noah and Kaine stared at each other, eyes going wide. Noah brought his hand up to his mouth, shocked. I mean, to someone else, of course. What woman wouldn't want her husband to be so good at cooking and cleaning? I really didn't mean to say that out loud. No, it's fine. I should probably check what food you have in the fridge. He hurried out of the room, making a hasty retreat to the kitchen. Noah sat alone in the living room, cheeks heating up in embarrassment. Even he wasn't entirely sure where that had come from. He'd never really thought about Kaine like that. Kaine was his reliable mom friend. He'd never once thought about him in a romantic sense. Why had his mind suddenly gone there? What's wrong with me today? Noah sat on his own in the empty living room, twiddling his thumbs as he waited for, well, he wasn't sure what for. He felt too awkward to walk into the kitchen and help Kaine, and even worse, sitting here while Kaine did all the work. Ugh, just act natural, Noah. What's wrong with you? It wasn't much later when Kaine re-entered the living room. Well, there's some vegetables in the fridge, and there's still some pasta in the pantry. I should be able to work something up from that. Kaine's face was flushed, and his gaze was averted, away from Noah. Sorry about before. I mean, not that what I said was wrong. You would make a good husband to someone. I don't mean to me. At that, Kaine finally cracked a smile. I don't know. I think I'd be alright at it. Noah choked on his next word. What? God, I can't deal with this tension, Noah. Obviously, I'm kidding. Uh-huh. Come on, I'll start making dinner. You don't need help, but come join me in the kitchen, alright? You haven't been eating properly lately, you know, so I had an idea. What, are you going to feed him yourself? Noah got to his feet and followed behind Kaine, feeling a little like a guest in his own home. His cheeks still burned. Yeah? What idea was that? When a child won't eat their dinner, parents usually cook with them, and it encourages the kids to eat. Oh, okay. I'm not a kid, you asshole. The tension immediately broke, and Noah laughed out loud. Kaine just grinned, his normal, charismatic self. Sometimes I'm not so sure. You do always have that whole broody teenage aesthetic still going for you. I do not. And even if I did, it's better than your whole... The oven pinged loudly, cutting Noah off. Kaine turned back towards the kitchen. Looks like the entree is ready. How the hell did you manage to get an entree ready in the amount of time you were in the kitchen? Kaine shrugged, still grinning. I'm just that good. Noah put his fork down beside his plate, a content feeling spread throughout his body. He really hadn't eaten properly in a long time. He hadn't realized just how hungry he was. Does it meet your tastes, wifey? Noah nearly spat out the food. The foot he was chewing on? The foot? He swallowed hard, glaring towards Kaine. Shut up already. Sorry. No, you're not. No, not really. Feeling a little fuller. I'm stuffed. You really are a good cook. I still don't understand why you didn't take up cooking professionally. Ah. Kaine rubbed at the back of his neck, his easygoing smile slipping. Well, after Dad left, it was just my mom and I. I had to go into something that would make money to support her. She's fine now, but she struggled to keep the house for a while there. Speaking of vanishing, Kaine frowned. He steepled his fingers together, then gave Noah a look, one which was penetrating. This might sound like a non sequitur, but how do you feel about Asher? That is a non sequitur. Asher? We haven't really talked about him, but I presume last night's conversation must be weighing on your mind. How have you been holding up? About the same as usual, I guess. Meaning you weren't doing too well. I always hated him, but did you know after August, the hospital, my parents wouldn't drive me to the hospital to see him, and Asher stole my dad's keys and took me. I hate him, but maybe he has a heart somewhere in there. I don't know. I didn't realize. But don't let him off the hook for his shitty behavior, okay? Yeah. I feel a little envious of Reuben being able to wash his hands of Asher. He's still my brother, though, whether I like it or not. Given the people who have been targeted so far, Kaine's voice trailed off, his expression becoming troubled. What do you mean? Are you saying you think Asher could be next? I'm saying it's a possibility. Why? Okay, let's be totally completely honest here, because 100% I've fallen into the category of I think Kaine is the killer. Why are you telling Noah who your next person you're going to kill is? Like, okay. Did I ever tell Kaine I was in Asher's dream before? I don't think I did. I tried to give him one of those charms Crow gave me, but he wouldn't take it, so I guess he could be targeted still. Who's to say? I don't know who the killer is or what their MO might be. But when I stop to think about it, it does feel weird that they went after your father and your mother, but they left Asher alone. If the killer really is targeting people you know, which they seem to be, it makes sense, doesn't it, that they'd try and finish the job off? Asher's a bit of a loose end. Noah digested this information quietly, his gaze downturned. When he'd seen Asher in that dream, he did have half a thought about it, but he didn't really want to consider what he'd do if Asher died, too. I personally would cry. I really like Asher. Maybe I need to think about it. Is Kaine trying to prepare me for the worst case scenario? Yeah, I guess he is a loose end. If I could just work out why each person is targeted, then maybe I'd be able to guess who they go after next easier. Maybe I would go after him next if I was the killer. It's worth considering. And Kaine fixed his eyes on Noah, his gaze still downwards. How do you think you'd feel? I know it's a hard thing to think about, but are you asking permission? I don't know. Noah shook his head, feeling at a loss for words. It's complicated. He's always been awful to you, Noah. I can see why it would be complicated. There's no judgment here. I don't know if my feelings for him would magically change even if he did die. I spend so little time with him, it's not like my life would change in any meaningful way if he died. We grew up together, but we might as well be strangers. Part of me thinks I might be happier, actually, if I never saw him again. Noah looked at Kaine, his brow furrowed. But I still don't think I'd want him to die. After the way he treated you, I wouldn't blame you if he did. He's a real asshole, isn't he? Do you even need to ask? Kaine smiled, then yawned. It's been a long day, huh? Tell me about it. As much as I love talking to you, it's probably about time we got some sleep. Tomorrow will be another long day, I'm sure. Noah looked out the window. The moon was high in the sky. It was probably midnight already. Time slips through my fingers these days. I hardly have a proper gauge on when it's night and when it's day anymore. Grief does funny things to you sometimes. Noah stood, stretching out of his shoulders. He just left them? Okay, how about he stretched his shoulders out with a crack? Being away from his easel for a while was probably doing him good, but he still felt a little achy from all the walking. I'll see you in the morning, then. Good night, Noah. Noah found his way upstairs, into his old bedroom, and he stared at his bed. Normal people would get in, but okay. For some reason, he felt wrong. Why? He'd slept in this room last night without an issue. It feels wrong to leave him down there on the couch when there's a perfectly good bed right here he could use. Damn, he calls you wifey once, and you're like, hell yeah, let's sleep together. Damn it. It was embarrassing, considering their earlier conversation, but Noah still trotted downstairs again. Hey, Kaine. Back so soon? Don't tell me you missed me. Come upstairs. Did something happen? Yes. Well, no. Fuck me, why am I so awkward all of a sudden? We've shared a bed before, it's not a big deal. Share my bed with me. Kaine, who had been busy making his bed up on the couch, froze. Huh? Come sleep in my bed, with me. It's stupid to ruin your back sleeping on the couch when my bed is big enough for the two of us. Well, who am I to turn down such a heartfelt request? I guess you really did miss me. Shut up already. It's not like that, I just feel guilty. Guilty. Is this guilt, I feel? Sleepover it is, then. Noah beckoned Kaine along after him, making their way back upstairs. They both fidgeted slightly as they stared towards the bed, unsure of who should make the first move. Eventually, Kaine just chuckled and started undressing. He slipped out of his clothes down to his boxers, then tossed a wink towards Noah. Ooh. Hey, no need to stare, even if I know that's difficult when it comes to me. Nothing you haven't seen before. Noah frowned, crossing his arms. Just get into bed already. Noah undressed himself, though he hung his coat up neatly and folded his clothes instead of just discarding them. Kaine's teasing had rendered him somewhat self-conscious. Quickly, he hopped into bed and burrowed under the covers next to Kaine. Kaine and I are friends, that's all. Those comments about marriage from earlier and Asher's teasing are just getting to me. Noah turned over slightly in the dark room, looking towards Kaine's broad shoulders and back. He really was an attractive person when Noah looked at him objectively. We're besties, but he's kinda hot, you know? He'd always known that, of course. Kaine was charismatic and charming, and Noah was sure nearly every girl at school was in love with him. But Noah usually just saw his goofy best friend. Right now, Kaine seemed different. Not necessarily in a bad way. Noah just wasn't used to it. To any of this. To being so close to someone else, to letting someone be so close. He felt overly conscious of the heat that laid beside him, aware, for some reason, of every slight change in Kaine's body, his breathing. They weren't touching, but he still feels awfully close. We've done this plenty of times, but it still feels so different right now. He feels like a man. A man who's my best friend, but a man nonetheless. The situation feels far more intimate than I planned for. Nervously, Noah continued to shift his weight under the sheets. I couldn't possibly think of him as something other than a friend, could I? Noah's cheeks grew warm. His heart rate sped up, but he didn't know why. Could I? Kaine. Kaine turned over in bed, moonlight from the window casting shadows over his face. His expression looked searching, almost shy. Is something up? No, Noah swallowed hard. Can I come closer to you? Huh? Kaine blinked. A smile cracked the serious look on his face. Are you feeling cold or something? No. But I want to be a little closer. Kaine stared. A silence settled upon them, not an uncomfortable one, but charged. Kaine looked at Noah, and Noah, too, looked at Kaine. Of course, it's no big deal between the two of us, right? Right. Noah shuffled closer, feeling the bed shift as Kaine did the same. It wasn't like they hadn't hugged before. They were best friends, for goodness sake, and Kaine was an affectionate person. But when Noah lowered his head to rest against Kaine's chest, they both froze. It was warm. Sure hope so. Kaine was warm. This was obvious, yet not. Everybody was warm. It was a human trait. But there was something special about the warmth that emanated from Kaine. Noah found himself drawn towards it, like a moth to a flame. Is this weird? No, not really. Okay. Noah paused for just a few moments, his thoughts rushing by him a mile a minute. I can hear his heartbeat. Then, finally, he draped his arm over Kaine's side. The other boy still didn't seem to be pushing him away, so Noah settled in, awkwardly, closing his eyes. Warmth was not something Noah was particularly familiar with. He normally kept to himself. He spent a lot of his time alone, focusing on his art and his grief. But now, pressed up against Kaine, the two of them tangled together in Noah's own bed. I think I could get used to it. Kaine was a little hesitant, still, as if not entirely certain of what was happening. But a moment or so later, he wrapped his arm around Noah in turn, pulling him a little closer. Noah did fall asleep in the end, a little warm, almost painfully warm, but content. Noah's sleep was not very rest-filled, however, largely because he wasn't given the chance to rest at all. He knew what was happening the moment his body seemed to sink through the mattress, through the floor, and through the fabric of reality. His hair fluttered in the wind, and his eyes snapped open. Whoa, it's been a while since I've seen that graphic. And with that graphic, I'm going to go ahead and end this episode here. Some interesting things that were going on in this. I really wasn't expecting any of that conversation with Kaine. All right, let's go where they ended up. Definitely, I think something's about to go down, though, in this dream. I think that we're at the point where we're going to be seeing some things that we have been questioning for, 27 episodes at this point. And I am excited to see all of the details and see how that plays out. But I'm going to have to go ahead and end this episode here for now. So, thank you for watching this episode. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next episode for some more Dreambound.